So this is my poster. It's out of date. Celebrate the March's women's. This is the part that's out of date. It shouldn't say history. It should say herstory. So let me get set up. So today is our second rally for women's history this month. It is also, as Connie said, International Women's Day, a global day celebrated the social, cultural, and political achievements of women. The day also marks a call to action for celebrating gender equality. And today I want to celebrate the Sheros. So a few years ago at the reception for the annual Bailey dinner, I saw a woman wearing a dress with images of 25 contemporary women in leadership. She was the artist, and I picked up one of her cards. This little card is my inspiration. And that's my poster that I made from that card. I put it on the magnetic board where I hang my grocery list, so I see it every day. And it has images of women, contemporary women who have spoken truth to power. I wished I could afford the dress, but I couldn't pull it off anyway. For this rally, I have invited one of the Sheros who has recently been in the news speaking truth to power. And this is what it sounds like. This is the card. And this is the woman. I tried to make it be a mask, but I couldn't pull that off. I didn't have enough time. And I am going to read to you from her opening statement to the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. It's very lengthy, but I picked out the parts that I thought were important to make. As I stated in my sworn declaration, I'm Hillary now. I had no idea about the criminal activities of the criminal cabal. I do not recall ever encountering Mr. Epstein. I never flew on his plane or visited his island, homes, or offices. I have nothing to add to that. Like every decent person, I have been horrified by what we have learned about their crimes. It's unfathomable that Mr. Epstein initially got a slap on the wrist in 2008, which allowed him to continue his predatory practices for another decade. Mr. Chairman, your investigation is supposed to be assessing the federal government's handling of the investigation and prosecutions of Epstein and his crimes. You subpoenaed 8 law enforcement officials, all of whom ran the Department of Justice or directed the FBI when Epstein's crimes were investigated or prosecuted. Of those 8, only 1 appeared before the committee. 5 of the 6 former attorneys general were allowed to submit brief statements stating that they had no information to provide. You have held 0 public hearings, refused to allow the media to attend them, including today, despite espousing the need for transparency on dozens of occasions. You have made little effort to call the people who show up at most prominently in the Epstein files. And when you did, not a single Republican member showed up for Les Wexner's deposition. This institutional failure is designed to protect one political party and one public official rather than to seek the truth and justice for the victims and survivors, as well as the public who also want to get to the bottom of this matter. My heart breaks for the survivors, and I am furious on their behalf. I have spent my life advocating for women and girls. I have worked hard to stop the terrible abuses of so many women and girls, what they face here and around the world, including human trafficking, forced labor, and sexual slavery. For too long, these have been largely invisible crimes or not treated as crimes at all. But the survivors are real and they're entitled to better. In Southeast Asia, I met girls as young as 12 years old who were forced into prostitution and raped repeatedly. Some were dying of AIDS. In Eastern Europe, I met mothers who told me how they lost their daughters to trafficking and did not know where to turn. In settings around the world, I met survivors trying to rebuild their lives and rescue others, with little support from people in power who too often turned a blind eye and a cold shoulder. If you are new to this issue, let me tell you, Jeffrey Epstein was a heinous individual, but he is far from alone. This is not a one-off tabloid sensation or a political scandal. It's a global scourge with unimaginable human toll. My work combating sex trafficking goes back to my first days as First Lady. I worked to pass the federal legislation against trafficking and was proud that my husband signed the act, the Victims Protection Act, which increased support for survivors and gave prosecutors better tools for going after traffickers. As Secretary of State, I appointed a former federal prosecutor, Lou Sidibaka, to ramp up our global anti-trafficking efforts. I oversaw nearly 170 anti-trafficking programs in 70 nations and directly pressed foreign leaders to crack down on trafficking. Every year, we published a global report to shine light on abuses. The findings of those reports triggered sanctions on countries failing to make progress, so they became powerful diplomatic tool to drive concrete action. I insisted that the United States be included in the report for the first time ever in 2011, because we must hold ourselves not just to the same standards as the rest of the world, but to an even higher one. Sex trafficking and modern slavery should have no place in America. Infuriatingly, the Trump administration gutted the traffic in persons office at the State Department, cutting more than 70% of the career civil and foreign service experts who work so hard to prevent trafficking crimes. The annual trafficking report, required by law, was delayed for months. The message from the Trump administration to the American people and the world could not be clearer. Combating human trafficking is no longer an American priority in the White House. This is a tragedy. It's a scandal. It deserves vigorous investigation. So she lists, because she knows what she's doing, 9 separate things that are not happening that should be happening. And the last of them says, would put forth legislation to provide more resources. But that's not happening. Instead, you have compelled me to testify, fully aware that I have no knowledge that would assist your investigation, in order to distract attention from President Trump's actions and to cover them up despite legitimate calls for answers. If this committee is serious about learning the truth about Epstein's trafficking crimes, it would not rely on press gaggles to get answers from our current president on his involvement. It would ask him directly under oath about the tens of thousands of times he shows up in the Epstein files. If the majority was serious, it would not waste time on fishing expeditions. There is too much that needs to be done. What is being held back? Who is being protected? And why the cover-up? My challenge to you, Mr. Chairman, and the members of the committee is the same challenge I put to myself throughout my long service to this nation. How to be worthy of the trust of the American people and the power they have given you. They expect statesmanship, not gamesmanship, leading, not grandstanding. They expect you to use your powers to get to the truth and do more to help survivors of Epstein's crimes. So,
she's still married to that shtick trick.
what?
So she's still married to that shtick trick.
You mean
Barbara.
Billy? Yeah. But we're talking about the Sheros, not the douchebags. Mm-hmm. Yes. So this woman, her name is something Duryea. I saw this little teeny card I showed you at the reception for a Bailey dinner a few years ago. And I brought it home, stuck it on my thing. And it's just been sitting in my mind. And then when I realized it's International Women's Day, I said, this is the day to talk about the Sheros. Not heroes, Sheros. So, Richards, this is Kirsten Gillibrand, I forgot this one, Anita Hill, that's Anita Hill. Nancy Pelosi, Elena Kagan, Maxine Waters, I keep calling her Maxwell, Ann Richards. Who's this? Dolores Hertel, Amy Klobuchar, Tammy Duckworth, Dianne Feinstein, that's the way. This, I think, is Shirley Chisholm. This is me, Michelle, Kamala. This is Emma Rodriguez. She was a young girl that was a victim in the Emily Stone and Douglas shooting, and she spoke out. I think this is Mazie Hirono, Barbara Jordan, Elizabeth Warren. This is a judge whose name I don't know. Yep, a judge. Gloria Steinem, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I believe this is Ketanji Brown Jackson, Sotomayor, and I'm proud to tell you I recognize this woman. This is Christine Blasey Ford. Now, this woman has a website. I'm going to go on it. She has many, many updated versions of this. These are not the only Sheros, but those are the ones that were on my card. So,